Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Swamiji.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Who is that? Linda.
Yes. Good evening, Swami.
Oh, yes. Good evening, Paul and Linda. Yes.
And everyone else, good evening.
Yeah, same to you.
Good evening, Sureshji.
Good evening, Swamiji.
Yes. Good evening, Arundhati and Subhash. I don't know whether Subhash is there.
Yes, Maharaj, he's here.
Around. He's around.
Yes.
Good evening, Betty.
Good evening, Swamiji.
Good morning, Mrs. Mukherjee.
Good morning, Maharaj.
Yes.
Good evening to you all.
Yeah. So scary news about India we are getting.
Yeah, it's very, very scary, very, very alarming. Or every day getting some bad news.
But I think things will be better soon.
Yeah, they're trying to arrange the vaccination, oxygen. Somewhere the vaccination started, then again they stop it because of the scarcity, mismanagements. India is always in a mess.
Yes. Amidst this mess will emerge something.
I know. We should pray for that.
Yes. Manish Babu, namaskar. Are you from Calcutta?
No, this is Monish from New York.
Namaskar. Oh no, you went to Calcutta, right?
No, I was going to, but actually because of the situation,
you had to cancel.
Go.
Okay.
I had to cancel.
Oh, okay. Yes. Lalita ji, good morning to you.
Namaste, Swamiji.
Yes.
Namaste, Swami.
Naranji, yes. Good evening. Good evening, Rose.
Namaste, good to see you.
Yes, namaste. Noel, good evening.
Good evening, Swamiji.
Yes. Mrs. Johnson, good evening. Yes.
Thank you, Swami.
Good evening, Barbara. Yes. Got your message. Morning to you. Good morning to Divanjali.
Good morning, good evening to you.
Yes. Sure. Okay. Who else? Oh, Gunamai. Good evening, Gunamai.
Yes, good evening, Swami. Made it, just made it.
Yeah.
Good. Yes. Good evening, Subhash. All right. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, so let's begin with the chanting. We shall chant peace chants 3 and 4 along with the accents. All right. First peace chant 3, we shall read the translation together. Om. O gods, may we hear auspicious words with the ears. May we see auspicious things with the eyes. While praising the gods with steady limbs, may we enjoy a life that is beneficial to all. May Indra, of ancient fame, be auspicious to us. May the all-knowing Pusha, god of earth, be propitious to us. May Garuda, the destroyer of evil, be well disposed towards us. May Brihaspati ensure our welfare. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto all. Now, chanting with accent So call and response first, then together. So underscore means a lower note. Upper stroke means higher note. And double upper stroke means long upper note. Om Bhadram Karnebhihi. Om Bhadram Karnebhihi. Shunuyama Devaha. Shunuyama Devaha. Bhadram Pashe Maksha Virya Jatraha. Bhadram Pashe Maksha Virya Jatraha. Sthirairangai Stustu Vagam Shastanuvihi. Sthirairangai Stustu Vagam Shastanuvihi. Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu. Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu. Shasti na Indro Vriddhashavaha. Shasti na Indro Vriddhashavaha. Shasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha. Shasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha. Shasti nastaksho arishtanemihi. Shasti nastaksho arishtanemihi. Shasti no brihaspatir dadhatu. Shasti no brihaspatir dadhatu. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. Now let us try to chant together. Om Bhadram Karnebhihi Shunuyama Devaha. Bhadram Pashe Maksha Virya Yatraha. Sthirairangai Stuštuvagam Shastanuvihi. Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu. Shasti na Indro Vriddhashavaha. Shasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha. Shasti nastaksho arishtanemihi. Shasti no brihaspatir dadhatu. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. Fourth one. Om is the base sound of all Vedas. It arose from the nectarine essence of the Vedas. May I hold the immortal teaching in my mind. May my body be strong. May my speech be sweet. May I hear a lot of wisdom. O Om, you are the receptacle of the supreme truth. May I never forget all that I have learned. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto all. First, call and response. Om yas chandasam rishabho vishwarupaha. Om yas chandasam rishabho vishwarupaha. Chandobhyodhyamritaat sambhabhuva. Chandobhyodhyamritaat sambhabhuva. Samendro medhaya sprinotu. Samendro medhaya sprinotu. Amritasva devadharano bhuyasam. Amritasva devadharano bhuyasam. Shariram me vicharshanam. Shariram me vicharshanam. Jihuva me madhumattama. Jihuva me madhumattama. Karna abhyam bhuri vishruvam. Karna abhyam bhuri vishruvam. Brahmana koshosi. Brahmana koshosi. Medhaya pihitaha. Medhaya pihitaha. Shrutam me gopaya. Shrutam me gopaya. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. Now let us try to chant together. Om Yas Chandasam Rishabho Vishwarupaha. Chandobhyodhyamritaat sambhabhuva. Samendro medhaya sprinotu. Amritasva devadharano bhuyasam. Amritasva devadharano bhuyasam. Shariram me vicharshanam. Shariram me vicharshanam. Jihuva me madhumattama. Jihuva me madhumattama. Karna abhyam bhuri vishruvam. Karna abhyam bhuri vishruvam. Brahmana koshosi. Brahmana koshosi. Medhaya pihitaha. Shrutam me gopaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. All right. So this becoming more and more complex. First is, long vowel and short vowel, then the accent, higher note, lower note. Okay. Okay, I am unmuting. If you have any questions regarding chanting, any doubt,
I have
Please.
a question, Swami.
please.
Peace chant number 3,
Mm-hmm.
the second verse.
Mm-hmm.
You pronounce the S, sha. Would you say shavasti? Or is it savasti?
Swasti, right?
Swasti.
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 Swasti. So it
Yes.
has an SH sound. Swasti.
Swasti.
Swasti. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, okay. Welcome. All right. It is swa, not sa. Yes, swa. It's the in IAST form of transliteration. Swa is written as SVA. Swa. All right. So, yes, SVA, swa. So, we are studying Narada Bhakti Sutra, and in the first chapter, so to say, first 24 aphorisms deals with nature of the Parabhakti, nature of supreme devotion. And we saw that this Parabhakti is supreme ecstatic one-pointed love for God in accordance with one's concept of God. And when this one-pointed love dawns in one's heart, then this becomes primary, everything else becomes secondary. And such a devotee engage themselves, their interests are in those activities which are conducive for their devotion, and for rest of the things they are indifferent. And last time we saw aphorisms 12 and 13 that a seeker as well as an illumined person, they should follow those scriptural injunctions or prescriptions which are conducive for devotion. Otherwise, there is the risk of a fall. For a seeker, they should practice those injunctions which are conducive for devotion. It is for their own good until they have reached the goal. Otherwise, they may be distracted from their goal. And those who have already reached the goal, they also follow those injunctions so that others also follow them. If they don't follow, others who take these illumined people as their role models or examples, they would also won't follow them, which will be not good for others. So both of them follow them. And now, what about? We have seen that these aphorisms are dealing with two types of activities: religious activities, that is, activities enjoined by holy books, and other day-to-day activities. 12 and 13 dealt with activities related to holy books. Aphorism 14 is the last in the context that we are in. About the context is religious and mundane activities. So today's aphorism is about these worldly activities, how long one should do or how much they should do. Aphorism 14. Lokaha api tavat eva bhajanadi vyaparaha tu asharira dharana avadhi. And syntax is like this: loko apihi tavat eva tu vyaparaha bhojanadi abadhi asharira dharana. Lokaha means here worldly activities related to this world, worldly activities. Api, also. Tavat, that much. Eva, only. That means as is essential. Tu, but. Vyaparaha. Vyaparaha means activities. Bhojanadi. Bhojana means eating. Adi means etc. Activities such as eating, abadhi, should be continued as long as sharira dharana. Sharira means body, dharana means as long as you are in the body or remaining in the body, that is being alive. Means till. Is a prefix which means till. Sharira dharana means as long as the body lasts. So the meaning of the aphorism is worldly activities also that much only as is essential. But activities such as eating should be continued as long as the body lasts. All right. So, like the previous aphorisms, these aphorisms also can be interpreted from two standpoints. From the standpoint of the seeker and from the standpoint of the illumined one who already has had this para bhakti. And this aphorism has got two parts. One is worldly activities, and the second part is vital activities like eating, etc. So first, let us take us. We shall come to your question. We shall come to that. So first one is worldly activities, also that much only. Worldly activities, also that much only. In the case of illumined person, they engage in worldly activities which is absolutely essential. Or rather, as Sri Ramakrishna says, that their worldly activities, worldly responsibilities, all drop off automatically drop off. He gives quite a few examples. One is when the fruit ripens, the flower drops off itself. That is, when such a ecstatic love dawns in one's heart, other activities already drop off on their own. Such a devotee becomes quite incapable of engaging in worldly activities. That is what we see. Sri Ramakrishna gives another example. It is quite appropriate for Indian households. When the daughter-in-law of the house becomes pregnant, she cannot do much work. Her mother-in-law gradually lessens her duties in the house. When her time arrives, she does practically nothing. And after the child is born, her only work is to play with it. She does not do any household duties at all. So by this example, Sri Ramakrishna wanted to say that when a sadhaka through practices develops such yearning or such one-pointed devotion to God, then as it were, nature itself, the entire universe itself helps to let that illumined person drop their activities. All the activities gradually become less and less. Only worldly activities, they are then taken care of by others. As we see in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, that when he was so much engaged in sadhana, so much one-pointed devotion to God, then his all material needs, worldly needs, were taken care of by different people. Some of them came on their own. He did not seek, but things turned out in such a way that people started taking care of those things. So this is from the standpoint of an illumined person, that when such an ecstatic love dawns in their heart, their all worldly activities automatically drop off because they don't find any more meaning in those worldly activities. Okay, then and let us remember this, although in accordance with aphorism 8 or 9, which meant that when such a ecstatic love dawns in one's heart, everything becomes sacred. But later on also we saw, even though such a spiritual person can relate every activity with God, still there are activities which are more conducive to for communion with God than other activities. So they prefer to engage in those activities which are conducive for their communion with God. So their entire interest becomes oriented to God. Other worldly activities drop off themselves. And in the case of a seeker, this means that after having a sincere seeker, a sincere devotee who is practicing devotion, they, after having had a desired quality of life, should not pursue worldly goals anymore, should not aspire to have more and more. Because we can, as the pandemic itself has shown us, we can live with much less than what we think we can. We can do with much less than what we think we need. Okay. And the reason is this: if we are engaged in worldly activities which are not essential, those worldly activities will warrant our energy, time, effort. And that means that much quality time from our spiritual pursuits are subtracted. If we don't engage in non-essential worldly activities, then we have that much energy, time, and effort in our disposal to spend quality time in spiritual practices. So this is the meaning of the phrase lokahopi tavateva. Worldly activities also that much only which is absolutely essential. So it is left to us to decide what is essential to us. We have to ask ourselves, what is essential to us? There is no one else can decide for us. Then second part is eating, etc. should be continued till the body lasts. This is important. Question may be asked that after one has realized God, what is any more use of this body and mind? Okay, let them, why then don't they choose to let this body go, drop off? So this phrase also we shall see from two standpoints for the illumined ones. So for the illumined ones, they continue to maintain their body. Why? Because after illumination, this body itself appears to be the temple of God. Temple of God, which should be taken proper care with. It should be maintained with care. Care does not mean pampering, but keeping it healthy for two reasons. So that we are not distracted from two things. The illumined peoples, if they have a good health, they can continue to have their communion with God without distraction. And secondly, they can continue to serve others, serve other people who are manifestation of God. They feel they are manifestation of God without destruction of health, and also share the bliss of the divine communion with others. For this reason, they illumined people maintain their health. We know that in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, towards the end of his life, he developed throat cancer. And quite a number of doctors were consulted and see so many things to learn from Sri Ramakrishna. When he was following a doctor, he would follow everything the doctor has prescribed. Total faith in the doctor, as long as he is under that doctor. So whosoever has seen him, whatever prescription they had made regarding medicine or anything, he followed it to the letter, we may say, to the letter. Anyway, so to him, health was important. Why? When others, devotees, requested him to go and pray to Divine Mother Kali to cure the cancer, he said, how can I do this? How can I pray to Divine Mother to cure my illness? But he prayed in a different way. He prayed, make this body able to take your name. Okay, means you're singing the glory of your name, and make me able to communicate with the devotees, talk with the devotees about divine Leela or about God. For these two purposes, make this body able. He did not directly pray for the cure of the cancer, but he prayed for good health, as much health one requires to communion, for the divine communion, or singing the glory of Lord, and also talking to people about this divine being, or share with them the spiritual bliss. That is what they do. For them, the maintenance of the body is for that. Worldly people too wants to remain healthy. For why? Why? To enjoy life. An illumined person wants to remain healthy to enjoy divine communion. This is the difference. This is the difference. Then for a seeker, health is important, because with a healthy and body and mind, we are in a better position to practice our devotion. We are in a better position to engage in our spiritual practices. Health should not be neglected. This is very much applicable to, novices, those in the monastic orders, especially those who come freshly they join, they have strong dispassion for the world. So also dispassion for their health. They think, why to take care of this body? Since I am not body, I am not mind, I am Atma. So why to take care of this body so much? This is a quite common characteristics among those who embrace spiritual life in totality. So seniors always warn us, no, you cannot do that, because for several reasons. One is, if your health is not good, you will not be able to do your spiritual practices. Okay. Number two, they say that now this body is no more yours. This belongs to Sri Ram Krishna, you have come to Sri Ram Krishna, you have dedicated your life to Sri Ram Krishna. You have no right to abuse this body. It is no more your body. It is the body now belongs to this Ramakrishna order. So you should take care of that. Thirdly, if you don't have a good health, you won't be able to serve others. That is one of your spiritual practices. So take care of your health. That is what we see in the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. Swami Brahmananda ji, Swami Vivekananda, Swami Turiyananda ji, Swami Niranjanananda ji. Most of them had good health and they used to do regular physical exercises, workouts. Workouts they used to do, although they have already reached their goal, but even in their advanced age, they used to do their physical workouts, physical exercise to remain healthy. And that he used to tell to their disciples. That is why we see, Swami Brahmananda's disciples, like Swami Yatishwaranji and others, all were very much into physical fitness, very much into physical fitness. And in turn, the disciples of Swami Brahmananda's disciples who are still alive, whom I have seen, they have also this habit. Even in their advanced stage, they do good amount of physical workouts to remain healthy. This doubt that whether to take care of my health or not also appeared in the mind of Sister Gargi, who was in San Francisco, Mary Louise Burke, who joined the convent in San Francisco, and she asked this question to Swami Ashokanandaji. Why should we take care of health if we are not ultimately the body? Then Ashokanandaji said something which I liked very much. He said, don't abuse a horse as long as you are riding the horse. So as long as you are living, so don't abuse the horse. Take care of your health. Now the question is, how a devotee should take care of their health? Is there any recommendation? So we find in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse number 17, a wonderful recommendations for yogis, which applies to every yogi, whether they are Bhakta yogi, they are bhaktas following Bhakta yoga or Jnana yoga, any kind of yoga, a wonderful advice. What is that? Moderation. Moderation in everything. Yukta ahara viharasya yukta cheshtaya karmasu yukta sapno ababodhasva yoga bhavati dukkha. Yoga becomes a help for them, means yoga is easier for them to pursue who follows moderation in eating, in sleeping, in working, in relaxation. Okay. Who sleep, wakefulness, efforts in work, eating, working, movements, all are moderate. So each is left to decide what is the moderate or the right amount for each of us. And if we are sensitive, we are sensitive or listen to our body and mind, we understand that what feels right for us, what is overeating, what is undereating, oversleeping, or not having enough sleep, or overdoing, overworking, or being too lazy. So all these things should be avoided. So not too much time and energy should be spent in eating, sleeping, etc., but not to neglect them altogether. Not to neglect them altogether. So that is what the guideline for a seeker is: moderation in healthy practices which are needed as long as you are in this body. So summary of this aphorism is this: with regard to the worldly activities, devotees engage only that much, engage in only that much what is essential. With regard to vital activities such as eating, one should carefully continue them as long as the body lasts. Then let us come to the next aphorism, which starts a new subtopic under this main topic. Okay, let us take aphorism 15. So now the topic is over about religious activities and worldly activities. Now will come the topic of different characteristics, expressions of this parabhakti, of devotion. Aphorism 15 to 24, a subtopic under the main topic of the nature of bhakti, the nature of devotion. Aphorism 50 is tat lakshanani bachante nana mata bhedat. And the syntax is like this: nana mata bhedat lakshanani tat bachante. Nana mata bhedat, in accordance with different viewpoints. Nana means different, mata means opinions or views, Veda means differences. So Nana mata bhedat, difficult to translate word by word. The word itself, Nana mata bhedat, samasta pada, that is, when a cluster of words join together, this is a samasta pada because of samasa, because of joining. Nana mata bhedat, in accordance with different viewpoints. Lakshanani, lakshana means characteristic. Lakshanani is plural, just like sutrani. Lakshanani, the characteristics, the characteristics. Tat, tat means of that. Of that means bhakti, referred to in the first aphorism. Athata bhaktim vyakhasyama, that bhakti. The characteristics of that bhakti, bachante. Bachante is a bhavavachya, means not a direct voice, I don't know. Probably passive voice, are being told now, are being told now. In accordance with different viewpoints, the characteristics of that bhakti are being told now. All right. So now starts a new subtopic, that is different characteristics of bhakti. That is the forms and styles of bhakti that we see expressed in the life of the devotees. And at the very beginning, Narada says there are various characteristics according to different viewpoints. So question is, why different viewpoints? Why different viewpoints about the one and same devotion? The reason is, let us go back to aphorism number 2. Remember that bhakti is in fact ineffable. The experience is indescribable. It can only be experienced, and after experience, when we try to express it, that what are its characteristics, then they differ from person to person. Devotees try to point out the characteristics of bhakti according to their own limitations. Limitations of mind, limitations of conditioning, limitations of culture, limitation of the tradition one has gone through. All those things make the characteristics, looking like diverse. So some give prominence to some kind of characteristics, certain characteristics, while some other will give prominence to some other characteristics we shall see very soon. So when we try to express the characteristics of that ineffable experience, there arises different forms and styles of bhakti, various approaches to bhakti, and none of them are mutually opposed to each other, but all point us towards that para bhakti, that supreme devotion. Examples. Let us take some examples. Take the example of Swami Ramakrishnananda, one direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. He was given this name Ramakrishnananda by Swami Vivekananda, seeing his devotion to Sri Ramakrishna. And how did this devotion express? Through ritualistic worship. He used to do daily worship of Sri Ramakrishna, daily puja of Sri Ramakrishna, and the onlookers will feel like he is worshipping the photo or picture of Sri Ramakrishna as if Sri Ramakrishna is here, alive. So his devotion, one-pointed devotion, expressed through ritualistic worship. Wherever he was, in southern India or wherever, he was known for this elevating, one-pointed ritualistic worship. And when he will be doing the worship, others will be surprised as if he is doing worship to living Sri Ramakrishna. So punctual about things. Like one example I remember, and they used to offer a betel roll, a betel leaf. In India they chew it rather, after eating they chew betel roll, betel leaf and some spices within, and probably someone applied one day a little bit of more lime. They use also, spread a little bit of lime on the leaf. And Swami Ramakrishna got so angry that don't you know that Sri Ramakrishna was very sensitive and his entire body was very delicate. So he will be feeling so much pain after eating this betel nut. So from all those things, it is just one example. In other things also, he used to offer him, tooth, toothbrush every day, toothbrush for brushing. To Sri Ramakrishna's picture, he will offer toothbrush. And he was so particular about that toothbrush were soft enough. Otherwise, Sri Ramakrishna might get hurt. So his one-pointed devotion got expressed through this ritualistic worship. Then take Ramprasad Sen, who composed so many devotional songs on Mother Kali. That is his expression of his divine love through all these songs. And he has become eternal, immortal through his songs. So to him, these songs were the characteristics of devotion. Take the example of Mahendranath Gupta, the recorder of Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. After Sri Ramakrishna passed away, his only occupation was whosoever would come to him, he would always talk about Sri Ramakrishna's life, Sri Ramakrishna's incidents, or under such circumstances, what Sri Ramakrishna would have done. So many people will throng to him, to his Calcutta residence, young people. Many people went, even, Paramahamsa Yogananda, the who wrote autobiography of a yogi. He also went many times to him. So whenever someone will go and ask some question, he would inevitably say, look, had Sri Ramakrishna been here, you would have told like this. So his entire devotion, one-pointed devotion, got manifested through dwelling on divine lila. Sri Ramakrishna's divine lila means Sri Ramakrishna's incidents, life incidents, Sri Ramakrishna's teachings. That was his only occupation, to live in Sri Ramakrishna, to quote Sri Ramakrishna, to remember the incidents of Sri Ramakrishna. Then Ramanuja, the famous 12th century or 10th century philosopher who started this Vishishta Advaita school of philosophy, that is qualified non-dualism, such a famous scholar. To him, bhakti means loving meditation on God. Loving meditation on God is bhakti. Acharya Shankara said, bhakti is constant thought on one's real nature. That is what he says in Vivek Chudamani. Then take the example of Holy Mother Sarada Devi, serving all around her as seeing the manifestation of the God, serving them lovingly, unselfishly. That was the manifestation or expression of that one-pointed parabhakti. To some, continuous repetition of the mantra, japa, ajapa japa, that is, all the time, spontaneously doing the mantra japa is expression of bhakti. Example, the Swami who was here, Swami Ishadhyanananda ji, he was adapting that, always repeating the mantra of God. So we see that there could be several expressions, several manifestations of that divine love. Accordingly, the characteristics of devotion are explained, described differently by different devotees. But there is no difference of opinion about the essential nature of bhakti. What is the essential nature of bhakti? It is of the nature of ecstatic love for God. But how that bhakti, how that ecstatic love expresses or manifests in the life of devotees may differ from devotee to devotee. In the next few aphorisms, Narada will review the existing viewpoints about different characteristics of that divine love. How one sage speaks about the characteristic of devotion, how another sage describes the characteristic of devotion. Then, stating all of them, at last, he would present his own viewpoint about the characteristics of bhakti, signs of bhakti, the marks of bhakti, from which we may infer that the person has had this para-bhakti within, that we shall see. Let me see questions. You may also ask me if you can unmute yourself and ask me. Okay, so many questions. Worldly activities in this case relate to material pursuits. It is possible that in one's life, one has to fulfill all the responsibilities that they have undertaken in this world. In that case, pursuing worldly activities or even pursuing professional activities more for intellectual gratification and knowledge dissemination is acceptable. Look, what is acceptable we are not talking about here. Okay, we are talking about the case of ideal devotee and illumined person. So it is up to us to what extent what will be acceptable to us. Of course, we will say what the text is telling us, not possible for us, not practical for us. Well, that is sure, but again, what they are talking about is for a true devotee, okay, for whom God is the priority, devotion is the priority. We need to distinguish between essential and luxury, but these are change with context. Yes, food nourishes the body, but also the soul. But Maharaj, we must not have greed for excess food. Yes, we should not pamper our body with food. Moderation is, yes, moderation, okay. All components or characteristics of bhakti are independent. Yes, we are gradually in activity, concentration. Yes, all of them go hand in hand. Yes, very good class. Thank you. That's okay. And any other question? Any other comments? Any other additional something or any other clarification you want?
Yes, Swamiji, if I may ask a question.
Sure, please go ahead.
Easier to just ask than type. So,
yes.
So aphorism 14 makes the point that one should not neglect the body or the physical health, for the simple reason that without that you cannot perform your spiritual practice and so on. So I get that part. Now, the physical body may have certain diseases or weaknesses that are beyond the control of the devotee. Does the aphorism imply that I mean, it's not something that the person has control over, let's say, right? It suffers from some physical pain or, and so on. How should one interpret aphorism 14 in that context? Does it mean that you should not continue your spiritual practice because your body is weak? Or does it mean that you should take care of your body before you continue on the journey towards spiritual practice? If I'm making any sense.
Yeah, one great way of looking at it is seeing the examples of others, how great devotees had done, even when they were suffering as such, having physical problems. That's what we see in the life of, say, Swami Ishadhyanananda, Swami Vivekananda, Swami Brahmananda, when their body was frail, when they had health problem. So what they used to do is whatever was suggested to them by the doctors, they used to follow. But there was some part which was inevitable, which they only had to endure. Okay, so that part of the suffering, which they had no control over, they endured that, and along with that, they did not stop their spiritual practice. That is what we see, that what is beyond my control, let me accept that and keep on doing what I am supposed to do. Okay, but the implication of this aphorism is that the devotee should take care of the health with the view that health is essential for spiritual practice, not for worldly enjoyment.
Understood. Thank you.
Yes.
Swami, sometimes people can modify their spiritual practice. I knew someone who had a brain tumor, and all he could do was his mantra. And so he clung to that and abandoned the things he could not do anymore.
Yeah, that reminds me a very good story. It's so helpful. Most of us know Swami Nikhilananda, who wrote many great books, who was in the Ramakrishna Vivekananda Vedanta Center of New York, who translated Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna and translated many Upanishads, Shankara Bhashya, and influenced a lot of important people like Joseph Campbell and others at that time. And he was a scholarly person, and when he joined the Belur Mutt, he was very active. So his most interest was in activity, work. Swami Ishadhyanananda, who was a disciple of Sri Ramakrishna at that time, was the executive head of Ramakrishna Mission. So look how they teach. He did not say anything. He saw that Nikhilananda was a bit giving less time in his spiritual practices, because in the monastery they sit together for meditation in the morning and evening. So he noticed that Nikhilananda was having less interest in meditational spiritual practices like meditation and japa and all those things. So, and also not interested in study. He was not interested even in study. At that time, he was only interested in work, because he was a revolutionary at that time. He was from a group which was the rebel against the British rule. So they were more into physical activity, work. So Swami Ishadhyanananda told him, look, it's very good that you work. Very good, I appreciate that. But suppose you get blind for some reason. Or suppose you become ill, so ill that you cannot work. What you do at that time? That's why start reading the scriptures, the holy books. When you no more are capable of doing physical activity, how would you spend your time? So read these things, Upanishads, Gita, you would love at that time too. You will find it is easier to spend your time. Again, suppose you lose your vision, you no longer can read, what you will do? Only japa, mantra japa or meditation on God will help you. So practice that also. And see Nikhilananda become master in both. He not only became a very scholarly, but he became, he used to do a lot of japa. Whosoever used to see him, that he had his rosary and continuously used to do japa until someone will take away the rosary from his head, from his hand, forcibly. This is time to eat. This is time to go sleep. He will keep on repeating japa. So what you, Betty, you told me, this is so true that there are appropriate spiritual practices for every circumstances. Every circumstances. What worldly activities does any worldly activity other than taking name of the God? All right. Thank you. See you next week. Let's do some meditation. Sit comfortably wherever you are sitting. Try to sit upright, but relaxed. Keep your eyes half closed. Try to feel the chair in contact with your body, the ground, in contact with your feet. Now close your eyes. Try to feel how the chair is pressing against you. Try to be aware of the fact that you are sitting here on your chair. Take a moment to adjust your posture. Be relaxed. Now take 4 slow and deep breaths. You come back to your normal breathing. Now, just try to feel how your body is breathing. The expansion and contraction. You don't have to try hard. just like a witness. Now we shall count our breaths. Inhale with the count of 5. Hold the breath for 5 counts and exhale in 5 counts. 5, 5, 5. Let's start now. Count mentally. Now come back to your normal breathing. Now imagine a golden light is coming from above you and filling your body within. As it is filling up different limbs, it is melting any tension, any stiffness that a limb might have. Begin from your toes. Imagine the light has filled it. Golden luminous light. Now the feet. Try to feel that light in your feet, within your feet. And gradually it is going up. Your lower legs, upper legs, abdomen, belly, chest, lower back, upper back, this light is filling up and relaxing every part of your body. Now the fingers of your hands, lower arms, upper arms, shoulders, neck, throat, your entire head, including eyes, nose, mouth, face. So this golden light, soothing light, has filled up your entire physical being. Try to feel the relaxation and the luminous being that is sitting here. This light is ethereal and divine. This light is not only within you, but everywhere outside you. The light outside, light inside, same light. Only your sense of ego is separating these two lights. Let your sense of separateness dissolve in this all-pervading light. Try to feel this golden, soothing, divine presence everywhere. This can be expressed through a mantra. God is everywhere. Harihi Om. Try to chant this mantra slowly and experience the meaning of the mantra. Harihi Om. 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 Hari Om. Now, while chanting the mantra, try to feel the vibrations of the sound. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Now, let us come back to this ocean of light. There is nothing but God everywhere. Now, take 2 deep breaths. And slowly open your eyes. Try to maintain the mood for a while. And you may read some holy book, 1 or 2 pages. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.